And of course, tonight, don't miss our chief anchor, Kieran Gilbert, and the panel of experts. This is all about the Dunkley by-election. They'll be on air from 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and it really will give us a bit of an idea of the state of play of federal politics. Joining me at the desk is former Minister in the Howard Government and Bondi Partners Senior Advisor Peter McGauran. It is a real-world test, isn't it, Pete?
Oh, absolutely, Tim. This will give us a very good idea of where the parties sit, because there's no doubt, as the government candidly admits, at least amongst itself, that they fell into a hole after the voice referendum in October, but they have reset. They've brought in new staff, they're much more politically astute, the Prime Minister has more of a spring in his step, and this by-election will answer a lot of questions, such as, has that reset worked? To what extent is Peter Dutton beginning to be known and beginning to be accepted by the electorate? Because remember, it was only 12 months ago, Tim, that the government took the Aston by-election seat off the Liberal Party. So there is enormous change in fortunes for the Labor Party.
What are the implications for the government and opposition out of today's vote?
The government's got the most at stake because the polls since the voice referendum have all been consistent that the parties have returned to the 2022 election status. After the success of Albanese's coming to the lodge, he soared in the polls, did very well, and it looked like a two-term government for certain. We now know that it's much closer than that, and a lot of questions such as Albanese's breaking of his word.
What about going to see Taylor Swift and doing a bit of a jig and a dance? Do you reckon that hurts the brain?
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, Taylor Swift one night, Katy Perry the next, a lot of socialising. That's another question that'll be answered. Do they like his style? Do they think he's committed enough? This is a very important by-election.
Cost of living, of course, we've been talking about it even at the back end of last year. Interesting inflation numbers, surprised a lot of people. And it looks like it's going down that way. Interest rates could drop almost as quick as they went up. So will the government be hoping that that sort of, that measure continues to ease?
Not for the by-election, because they know
long-term,
definitely 3.9% inflation rate now, but still a long way from the Reserve Bank's 2 to 3% target. Interest rates can't come down before September, October, and even then they'll come down from 4.35% to 4.1%, so not dramatic, but at least the trend's in the right direction for the government.
The ASIO boss fines, or the findings on a former policeman, how concerned are you by that?
Remarkable, isn't it, that Mike Burgess would make this public claim that a former politician was compromised and was an active agent for a foreign power. So what do we know? We know it's China. We know that there have been two well-publicised incidents in the last few years in which both ex-Labor politicians, one federal, one state, have publicly denied it's them. So he seemed to be sending a lot of messages.
Well, that's Bob Carr and Daniel Andrews. Is that who you're talking about?
No.
Who are you talking about?
Ex-Senator Sam Dastyari has denied it's him, and ex-New South Wales member of the Upper House, Labor, Ernst Wong, has denied it's him. So we can't speculate anymore other than rely on their public statements. He was sending messages, Tim. He was sending a message to China. He was sending a message to politicians as to the dangers that they face. And thirdly, he was sending a message to the community that there is active work organised, sophisticated by foreign powers, particularly China.
But it's interesting though, isn't it? Everyone's tossing up names. So I just was mucking around with a couple of names. But like people are throwing names.
I thought you were serious.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, thank God.
No. But it's more because people are just chucking names left, right and centre. This person, that person, this person, that person. Because that's
the downside.
It's not the done thing,
Absolutely.
Is it?
That is the downside. It's unprecedented. The head of ASIO, Mike Burgess, who's very, very well respected, and ASIO, which is amongst the world's top intelligence agencies, who would have expected them to start this sort of speculation? So there is a downside, but obviously Mike Burgess and ASIO believe it's worth it to promote the issue.
All right, latest in the USA. Michigan, both Biden and Trump. We're heading that way to November, aren't we? That these two are going to confront each other in the general election.
Trump wins the Republican nomination, hands down. Nothing new about that, as does Biden for the Democrat Party. it's now clear that the legal issues are damaging to Trump. They're a distraction, they're expensive, they're controversial. A couple of them are not going his way. I think Trump could well end up in the White House, but the legal issues seem to be more of a blockage at this stage than Biden.
And the money. I mean, I know he's a wealthy guy, but they say that the GoFundMe page is about $1 million, and that's not even covering the interest on some of these bills that he's got.
Yeah, it's a good point, Tim. I just wonder whether or not how he can draw on his election funding to fight the legal cases. Otherwise, he'll have to fight them himself, and they're not going well, and there's 4 of them underway.
Yeah, it'd be difficult to put money from there to there.
And most of the 4 are nonsense.
Yeah.
The Democrats have politicised the judicial system.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you.
Thanks, Tim.